Okay, so let's
The one you don't want to work with, you can
be
give it
clear
to
with
me.
the answer. So this, I put it as far away as possible for me, right?
Yeah, come here. Okay.
So as far as
Far
possible,
from me, yeah.
as far from me. So this is something that I think is the right choice, has the right answers for the current challenges for the country.
ยิมสวัสดีครับ
Ready, Cup?
How was your sleep last night?
Doing well, not too bad.
I asked because my producer she's so excited. Cannot sleep at all for the last like 3 days coming up to this interview.
I hope I'm not the one who keeps you awake at night. How about you? How was your sleep?
Very good.
It's been a while since we last met.
Do you recall like one of the last time that we met? I have an interesting story that I will tell you.
Okay, tell me.
That was 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
It was in Siam Paragon.
Right.
And I met you. I mean, it was like 3 months before the election. And we talked politics. And then
So I joined Future Forward Party already or no?
no, and that's the key point of the story. We talk politics, and then you
Right.
asked me to analyze the Future Forward Party.
Right.
So I give you the full criticize of the party, and then you like totally quiet. You didn't say anything much. And 2 days later, big news that you are the member of the party.
Honestly, you have to forgive me. I'm 42. Doesn't ring a bell that we talked about that. I think we talked a bit about our childhood. I think I joined Future Forward. The announcement of the grand narrative was December 18th. And then I spoke to Thanathorn maybe a week or 2 weeks before that. I went to see him talk at the FCCT speeches. He's from 1%, but he stands for 99%. And then we were talking about military reform, education reform at that stage. I think was there too. And I felt like if I were to run for office and if I were to join one, it would be with him. And then he called me up and he said, okay, I wanted you to come and be a party list for me. Top 40, he said at the time, top 40, mainly in agriculture. And then he said, do you believe in decentralization? Do you believe in demilitarization, taking military out of politics, pretty much like any other countries that you've been? I said, yes. Okay. What about monopolization? So I gave him what I thought about these 20 minutes. I came out and he didn't call me back at all. And then he announced in the public that I would be fourth on the list. I'm like,
So you didn't
what
say
a
yes.
brother, man. You told me top 40, So
It's a good story though, and I totally understand you. Interesting is that this happened 4 years ago. I would say something like sliding door decision for you joining politics. 4 years after that, now you think it was a correct decision.
Definitely. Absolutely. It was, like I said, personally, it was a chance for me to fulfill my dream. But then it was a step towards a Pandora box that I didn't know. I thought I knew a little bit. I was like in the backroom operation at the government house. And then when you have become member of parliament yourself, and you knew that there was inertia, you knew that there was resistance to change, you knew that it's personalized in a lot of things that you do rather than systematic or professional. Yeah, a lot of the inertia that's going on in the system, it really shocked. It really shocked me, and it felt like, okay, there's a lot for me to learn. It's not like, I prepared about this. I have put it together. If I were to have a chance to speak in the parliament for the first time, these are the things that have been accumulated in my DNA, in my life, and this is what I'm going to. And then you thought you had everything organized, ready to launch, all fired up, ready to go, like how Obama would say. And when you get to do it yourself and you want to try to pass some laws, 2 votes down in liquor liberalization, marriage inequality, nobody's going to pass it. And we passed it. And that kind of feeling, the sensationalization of it, it's quite sensational.
But the interesting that I want to share with you is that when you talk politics, I can sense that happy aura coming from you.
Oh, for real?
Even like the bills that didn't pass, the liquor bill.
In one word would be because it's internalized. There are times when I do well and when I don't do well. When I do well, it's when it's really internalized. It's just 1 week in Nakhon Sawan, and I understand the problem of PM 2.5 because of the lack of machinery in the sugarcane plantation. And I feel like it could be done. There's like 3 parts to the value chain. Only this one that we need to import from America. And if we plan it well, we make sure that the soil erosion doesn't happen. If we have one of this in every district, imagine the productivity of sugarcane and PM 2.5 reduction and the new industry that comes from all these things. It's a revolution, Then it would be something of joy, But if it's like being forced to say something or to say something that I'm not interested in, it's like being in the classroom. It's like being back in BBA, some of the classroom you enjoy, if it's a good teacher, you want to join, you want to participate, and you want to raise your hands up and debate with the teacher. But if it's something pretty boring, you don't show up. You have your flip-flop and you sit waiting downstairs and have like a burger with fries from Siam Steak or something like that. Or peanuts from Bernard or something like that. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So it's still pretty much the same thing. I mean, liquor liberalization is something that is, when you see people, it's really their dream, I remember talking in the parliament, today it would be one of the 10,000 votes that you voted for other MPs. But today is a dream of someone who wished to have a career. As someone who has been fighting about this for 20, 30 years to keep the Thai spirit alive. Smells like Thai spirit. Not smells like teen spirit. Smells like Thai spirit. Spirit, it's like the liquor, you know what I mean, right? So for these people, it's like their dream. They're trying to push ahead. They have to go to Vietnam, to Philippines, to Australia, get their products imported back to make sure that they can overcome this, barrier to entry that is the law. And it's nonsense. I mean, it's the right to work. It's a human right.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of spirit is kind of important to have this positive outlook of whatever it comes. For a lot of people, when they say like, okay, we lost by 2 votes for something that we work hard, they might get depressed. They might get like pessimistic already. But like I said, the aura that you gave me now, you have like that positive energy now.
Well, what's the choice? You have no choice. The choice is just to, to try your best and make sure that you make it happen. But whatever out of your control, sooner or later it will happen because you think you're on the right side of the history. If that's the case, then you will always have that energy to keep pushing. Progress, it's not a straight line. It's probably a parabola. It's a zigzag line, that's for sure. It doesn't happen overnight, but look at how far we've come in various things. Because when you were talking about hope, and back in our days when we were young, we had the hope of being the tiger of Asia. A little bit more, we are next. We are going to be an industrialized nation. That's also some buzzword for us to hope for, but there's none now. It's that bad that if we don't find the new consensus in this new normal, not even hope that we still have remain able, or a potential to have, or the competitiveness, but not even buzzwords, not even like 2 buzzwords for people to like hope for, to like get up every morning and go to work because, we're the 5th tiger of Asia kind of feeling.
Is there any specific buzzword in your mind?
We're not so much about buzzwords. We're about getting things done. We're about decentralizing the country, demonopolizing the country, and demilitarizing the country. I think those are the 2 things. And the core mission of this election is to shut down the big brothers, take military out of politics, take their stuff with them too. And that's the constitution that has to be rewritten as soon as the first 100 days of the next government when they form a coalition. My 100-day agenda would be to have a referendum for people to see if there's a chance for us to unlock this ticking time bomb that has been taking Thailand back for at least 40-something years.
Yes, we can talk more about it. You can find your time to sip a bit of your tea when I arrange this. So what you see now, we are getting to hard politics.
Sure.
But this is just for visuals. What you see now are the political parties that's supposedly to be like maybe top 7, top 8 in the coming election. Basically, I'm just going to ask you, is there any party, if you put it into maybe like 3 categories, the party that you would prefer not working with, the one that you want to work with, and maybe someone in between, like neutral party that maybe up for the future.
So you tell me which side. Thank you for putting me right in the center. But
The winning one.
it's a good sign. The center of the circle,
Yeah.
the center of the coalition. But okay, so let's
The one you don't want to work with, you can
be
give
clear
it to
with
me.
the answer. So this, I put it as far away as possible for me, right?
Yeah, come here. Okay.
So as far as
Far
possible.
from me, yeah.
As far from me. So this is something that I think is the right choice, has the right answers for the current challenges for the country. I haven't thought about these ones. So, for me, in any parliamentarian coalition, you can't really form a coalition before what people tell you during the votes, right? But you can have some spine. You don't have to be spineless when it comes to these things. And I have said many times that the way I think about this is a framework thinking. And the framework for that is, I have made clear at the very beginning of the show, shut down the band of brothers, turning 3 Paul into 3 Ps. Maybe Pita, Parit, and someone else, and that's the case. And this, I have worked with them for the past 4 years. I feel like that we have more similarities than differences. So I feel like it's possible for us to have the right answers to the challenges of Thailand. And we are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Meaning, it's like different one, and it's clear cut at what we're good at, clear cut at what we're good at, clear cut at what we're good at. But when you put it together, it becomes a good answer for the country.
What you did, I mean, a lot of people will say, this is admirable, that you have spine. But this is not coming from me, but I'm saying from like the old politics. They might think like this is the character of your party, like being stubborn. And I guess that's the key questions to your party is like the being idealist versus realistic, like politics in the real world. Because what you said, like I said again, a lot of people will find it very admirable. But what you just did, a lot of parties, I don't know, even these two maybe might rule out your party because like you guys don't play the game that they play.
But it's a fair game, I think. It's a matter of choice. I can choose to do it. I can choose not to do it. But it's also a choice or the freedom of the voters to see which one is the one that they wanted, which kind of agreement or what kind of alignment forming, a coalition forming that they wanted. If they wanted to be transparent, if they wanted to be on the table, literally on the table, it's a fair game. So if I choose to do it, I choose to do it. I have to follow up on it. And then the voters would look at this and they feel like, oh yeah, that's a future that I want.
Last question on this like political tactics. For Kao Kai voters, if you win like 350 seats, that's ideal. But I mean, to be honest, it just seems impossible right now. If you have two choices, like maybe you have like 50 to 60 seats, but you have to join a government, a coalition maybe with one of the Palang Pracharat and one of the Phum Chai Thai, you get to govern. You might lose your character a bit. Comparing to, like being yourself, stick to your principle, but you have to be on the opposition side. How would you?
2 answers to that question. The structure of your question was asking whether I would sacrifice the ideology in return of governing and really getting things done during that governance. But that part of the question is like this, for sure. Clear cut. I'm 42. I can wait. I have a lot of time. But people might not be able to wait. A lot of people, they're waiting for equality, people who are waiting for liberty. There's people who are out there, the younger generation is asking for judicial independence, bail application and withdrawal, rule of law, detention before trial. How are these things happening in this country, and they're not eating for 7 or 8 days. So it's a matter of urgency in that sense. But for me, for us to come and run for office and become a politician, in order to get in power and to really make some sacrifices, but to be part of that coalition is just impossible for me to do. The second answer to that part of the question is that you assume that time is a snapshot and not a flow. If you think of it as a snapshot and you see, there's no way out, realistically, it can't be done. It has to be like this, But if you look at the time as a flow and not a snapshot, not static, I want to be right in physics. It's a flow. Once it's a flow, then things can change, for the better or the worse. And the time for us to have the process of domination of ideas, it might not happen in this election, but in the next election and the next election, the nomination of ideas of people will start to understand a little bit more. And it doesn't mean that more votes for me or more MPs for me, but it could change the thinking or change of approach, the change of way of doing things in any other political parties that might be forming coalition with me.
It's AIM hour. It's
an hour
English,
with AIM.
An hour with AIM. And it's English interview, and I want to have a part where we discuss Thailand in a global stage.
Okay.
Well, I want to put it this way. First of all, if you can pick someone to come and work for Thailand, anyone in the world, who would it be?
But that's a hypothetical question that doesn't really make any sense.
But it's leading to another question.
I thought you were talking about like foreign policy of how we put Thailand on back to the global arena, things like that. We only have like 10 minutes, man. We gotta make sure
the problem is
we hit the nails, bro. We gotta hit the nails.
The problem is the minutes.
On the head.
It's not a question.
I mean, it's something we talk over beer, but I thought I want to use this time. I have my agenda. I want to use this time.
Okay, I will finish the question. Okay, the first question would be, how to put Thailand in a global map. And the second question, when I asked you to pick someone, is that how to attract talented to the country.
Oh, okay.
That's where I was getting to.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. I'm a stubborn guy just like you, so I think like two of us think alike. For foreign policy, it really is important to Thailand at the moment. The current state of Thai foreign affairs, which they proudly accepted themselves as bamboo diplomacy, which means it's a quiet diplomacy. I don't want to talk. I don't want to take actions, and it really shows. They do walk the talk when they vote on United Nations. They put abstain on a lot of issues. But if I were to be in power and the kind of change that we do, if you don't speak, you don't exist. You can't be spineless when it comes to things. You have to have the right values and speak. And the good example of doing that, you might feel like, you could talk about that, but Lee Hsien Loong of Singapore, for example, he criticizes America. He criticizes China. He's playing poker and not chess. He's calling bluffs out. You're bluffing, but, you have your guardrails meeting at the back, and you have a strategic, managed competition between the two, and I don't want to be the pawns in your chess game where you move me to be aligned more towards the Chinese or towards the Americans. But we gotta stick together with a mid-sized power and say that we are in a poker game, not a chess game. Second thing is it's an a la carte and not a buffet. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will come out and criticize America if it's wrong. He would also criticize China if it's wrong, but it's foreign policy is domestic policy because he has the legitimacy domestically, whether you agree with it or not, but he is, for his country, then you can speak on behalf. But if you come from military coup yourself and you want to talk about human rights, I mean, there's no credibility in that, right? So that's the kind of thing that we need to step up, know what we want, walk the talk and pick and strategically pick what's good for both the countries, and rather than buffet where we just stop talking about one side of the power when we want to be stuck here. That's wrong.
Actually, it's 3 more questions, but it's a short one. This one, only personal question in this interview.
How personal? I hope hopefully it's not about love life.
Nah.
Only if I get to ask you back, then maybe I would allow it.
We're gonna
But if
need-
you're not gonna.
We're gonna need 3 hours.
Oh, 3 hours. It will be like a mental health session. Middle-aged TU alumni.
The question is that you're approaching 40, right?
42, man.
You're 42.
I'm 42.
If you can went back and tell Tim Pitha when he was 22, what would you tell him?
Don't listen to me. You know, don't listen to other people too much. You know, it's much more important what you say to yourself more than what others are telling you. So when it's come to these kind of things, I would tell them maybe buy a certain stocks or buy some Bitcoin at this time and sell it within this time. There's probably more, but you know, when you look at life backwards, having the benefit of the hindsight is unfair to you at your previous age. But I would really live my life the way I had lived it. You know, I would really focus even more on just, listening to that inner voice more than listening to other people. You know, I would continue to listen to other people, but I wouldn't believe them right away, and continue to focus on what I really want and really pursue them as much as possible. So yeah, there's some ups and downs in my life. You know, something that's perfect, something that's not perfect. But hey, it's like John Lennon. You know, life happens to you while you busy making other plans, and that's really a lot more you can control than you think. You know, ability for you to set your boundaries when it comes to work life. You know, self-care, focusing more on yourself. You know. Start doing yoga earlier. Start doing some breath works. Quick do journaling much faster in life, and I feel like you'll be able to survive or live a better life. Exercise a lot, and all those things that they tell you. Just don't skip them too much. That would be all. But don't listen to people all the time.
Thank you very much. I think that's like good advice for myself as well.
Cool.
เรียบร้อย
โหวตเพื่อไทยปะล่ะ
โปรดก้าวไกลปะล่ะ
โหวตภูมิใจไทยปะล่ะ